Hey, my name is Nate with Common Sense Gaming, and this video is going to be about the state of Call of Duty. I like to typically just sit down and one take these types of videos, so thank you for sitting down with me and let's have a fun discussion for a bit. So the current state of Call of Duty. I'm going to start for the first minute of this video talking about my past with the game. So I have personally played, and am in the minority, I believe so, in doing this. I played every single game, even 1, 2, and 3 on the PlayStation 2. My dad would take me to Blockbuster and I'd rent them. I was so young. And then I became a massive fan of the series with the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 booming with the explosion of 2007's Call of Duty 4. And then I just would play the crap out of every single game up to currently Black Ops 4. So here I am, I guess you would call me a veteran player. I'm 22 years old, which seems young, but I guess it is old enough for those Blockbuster days. We've got a couple big problems that really need to be addressed that not enough people are talking about. And this is because I mainly don't interact within the Call of Duty community, or at least I haven't since like the T Martin and X-Jaws days, like back when those things were the biggest hits on the block in White Boy 7th Street. Some of you guys are like some of the older fellas are really nodding their heads like, I remember those names. I'm sure T Martin's still grinding. It's funny because some of the big problems we have as the games have changed, as Activision tries to get more creative in how they tell their studios, like, okay guys, this is what you have to do because we're gonna make this a new selling point of the game and we can monetize it in this way. One thing they've added lately within the past couple of years are like special classes, like in Overwatch, how you have like different types of heroes. You have ultimates in Call of Duty, which I think could work. But instead of going like a fun skill-based route, they instead went the free kill route, where pretty much every single ultimate you pull out, it's some sort of crazy powerful weapon, and you can pretty much just lay it into whoever's in front of you and they're gonna die. As Call of Duty as a franchise started to get older, they started to introduce kind of more fun ways to get a lot of kills, and that was with primarily the kill streaks. As you remember, in my opinion, I would say Modern Warfare 2 was when we really started to see creativity and all of this incredible customization with back then it was still kill streaks, with kill streaks. And there are all these super fun ways. Some of them were kind of crazy overpowered, but in a way, it was still kind of, we had a honeymoon phase with the game and we didn't think too much of it. You know, we were really enjoying it. But those have all multiplied times 5 to the games nowadays. The kill streaks are all still really good and, in a sense, in my opinion, easier to get as they are score streaks. And then on top of that, we have equipment that has gotten nothing but stronger. And I believe that's kind of what starts to ruin the flow of a game when it becomes just kind of a mesh of chaos and there's really not as much enjoyment for people who like grinding the game. But obviously, as we've seen in Fortnite, these games are definitely marketed and, I guess in a sense, developed now towards younger and younger and younger generations. As you know, with the latest controversy with, maybe we should make a whole video on this alone, the Fortnite mechs, which it was so clearly it's almost a love letter to the young player base. Like, here you guys go, you get to go, you can go and stomp the good players, which in a sense I completely understand from a business standpoint, but obviously there's going to be some awful PR coming back from your competitive players that were big on social media. And you kind of have to find a sweet spot in the middle. It doesn't seem to be a great move to completely trash the reputation of your IP by just catering to casuals or just by catering to competitive. But I think if time has shown us anything, catering to competitive players has typically worked. But that usually takes more of a long-term approach, and in the short term, if you cater to the casuals, you can make a quick buck, and that's what's so enticing for these large companies. Both are equally wrong, in my opinion, to make a fun game. And so now here's the next thing I've noticed as a veteran Call of Duty player. The aesthetic of the game has completely changed, and there's a couple dynamics going on here, and we're gonna talk them through. So number one, if you go back to the old games, let's say Call of Duty 1 through Call of Duty 4, and that is, they have a very serious tone, and in every element they don't stray away from that tone and that vision. So that's like in the vintage Call of Duties, I guess I'll call them 1 through 3. When you're fighting in these old world wars, everything is true to that time in history, and the whole vibe of the game feels like that time in history. There's no cosmetic skin where all of a sudden you can have pink hair, or you can have this, you know, really cool rainbow glowing gun. Like, there's none of that in the game. And getting to Call of Duty 4, where we jump into the modern era of the 2007 into 2010-ish feel of life and war, it was the same thing. People are wearing camouflage, and I'm not talking about just like single player campaign, even in multiplayer, we're all still wearing camouflage. We all look like we are true soldiers on a battlefield, and I think that was incredibly immersive. The only time you'd feel like you were breaking out of that immersion was with the golden weapon. But for some reason, people didn't hate golden weapons. It was fun to grind for. They were not easy to get whatsoever. And I think because it was so subtle in that sense and so hard to get, people were okay with it because not every single person had them. Now, fast forward to like the last 5 games or any of the newer games. I mean, it's kind of a clown fiesta. And I remember being so disappointed when I started to see that introduced. And we would start to see hints of this in the Black Ops series when you started to be able to customize your own, like your reticles would get a lot more creative, which I knew, which was fine on its own, but I knew that that was going to start to lead us down a road. Like I knew what was coming, and I think we all did. You can customize like your player card emblem, and people would give us some very, you know, NSFW images going on. So thank you, my 13-year-old eyes, you know, were changed ever since those days. And then this would lead us to Black Ops 3, which I find as like the staple. It is the marker of when Call of Duty as a franchise completely changed its aesthetic. Black Ops 3 was when Call of Duty stopped taking itself seriously, when you're able to start dancing around in the end screens based on what unlockable item you've gotten or loot box, you know, special epic dance you've unlocked. Well, when you can start doing that with pink hair and clown masks, and you start to lose, you know, this mood that you had set in the previous games. And if that's like their artistic choice and that's how they're going to market this game from now on, that's fine. But you have to understand that there's going to be a significant amount of people that are going to take a step away from that, because that's not what they signed up for in the beginning. So the state of Call of Duty as of late has been really catering and marketing. Their business strategy has been towards younger generations of players. And as they do that, the older generation starts to step away. But the younger generation is going to become more enamored with playing free-to-play games that are, as Fortnite that we see, are way more popular than Call of Duty. And so now as you lose that younger base, because they don't want to spend $60 every year, they will only buy the game if mom and dad gets it for them for their birthday or Christmas, or if they get all A's on their report card if they were lucky. And the older generations of gamers pretty much don't care about it anymore because they've maybe moved back to Counter-Strike, Rainbow Six, Minecraft now, thank you PewDiePie. And so now we've arrived to Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the new state of Call of Duty. And this will be the state of Call of Duty moving into 2020, even though this game comes out in like, I think like what, a little over a month now, 2 months. We see yet again a complete aesthetic shift. I think Activision really wants their player base back that is willing to spend $60 all of the time on their games every year. And they're going to make kind of a love letter back to them and trying to really play off of that nostalgic feeling. This game is marketed towards me. It's supposed to be marketed towards you if you were a player playing back in 2007 on your Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 with Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. They are making a love letter to you, and they are really saying, we're kind of sorry about our last couple games, guys. We're going to make a game for you again. And that's what I'm really seeing as their attempt right now. The current state of Call of Duty is not meant for us types of players, but I think the new one, they're going to give it a crack at it to try and take us back, which is kind of exciting if you look at it, but it's also kind of disappointing that we had to go through this blip where the games weren't really made for us. And also, as the last topic before I end this video, we're also seeing waves of players moving across the consoles, getting more into the PC side of the things, while the PC market is growing so insanely fast now, which is so cool to see. I played most of my Call of Duty time on console, but I believe it was in like 2014 I did make the change to PC, and I've been playing on PC ever since. And after all of these years, I can't believe it took this long, we're finally getting cross-platform play. As advertised, the new Call of Duty game will let you play with all of your friends no matter what system or whatever they're on. This is something we could have used like 8 years ago, guys, but thank you for finally adding it. And I think that's a great step forward for the franchise, especially as on PC. I think people tended to lean away from Call of Duty. Now this is a great way at bringing players back, and with cross-platform, you're able to play with all of your friends that you played with back in 2007 when Call of Duty 4 was around. And so that's what Activision is looking to fix here, and that's the state of Call of Duty. I can only hope it works because I do love this franchise. This video could definitely be well over an hour long, but these are just my opening thoughts. Take care, everybody. See ya. I won. That was me and King. We literally had a knife battle. Me and the other knife guy.
Dang it.